welcome to May 27th, 2021 Planning Board meeting. The first item on the agenda is a subdivision for Alfred Lauder at 238 Quaker Street and John Connor Road, tax map 405, lot 1, zoned residential and rural agricultural. We have the application. Oh, before I start, I need to appoint Ray a voting member because Pastor Bill is not here. I remembered and everything, so shut it down. Looking through the checklist, the only thing I saw is the wetland scientist stamp is missing, and I don't see any test pits. Soils might be there, but I don't see them. Oh, soils are there. Clean up my screen a little bit. I can see everybody again. So I guess we could ask for a waiver for the test pits on the 2 lots over 10 acres.
I didn't know we needed test pits on any lots that are over 5 acres.
Yeah, we changed the regs here last year, and that's number 14 on the checklist.
Well, I started this survey 2 years ago, so.
Me too.
But anyway, yeah, I'm going to ask.
No more than that.
I'm going to ask for a waiver for that. I don't know how I'll get it to you in writing. I'll get you one in writing, but I can. I mean, the lots are over 5 acres. There's an existing house on one of the lots at 6 acres, and the others are 10 acres.
I don't see an issue, but in the future, it'd be nice to have that in writing at least.
And I'm surprised there's no wetland stamp on the plan that was submitted, but I don't know how quickly I could. Well, if you don't have one, you don't have one. I don't know. Thought we submitted it.
Well, let me say it's not on the reduced size copy. So I don't.
Well, let me take a quick look. I gotta manipulate around here.
But your note says Tom Carr did it, and Tom Carr was notified. So I think if we accepted it, yes.
Do you see Tom Carr?
Yep, I can see it.
A large copy has it on the other.
Yep.
Okay. We're good there. I found it on mine that I sent. Maybe a little, didn't get on the little one. So. All right.
Is there any other difference between the plans?
Were you speaking to me? Sorry.
Yeah, is there any other difference between the plans, the one we have without the stamp and the one?
No. No.
Okay. Just checking.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to accept, we approve the waivers as requested.
I'll second it.
test pits.
Yeah, and the test pits on the 2 lots over 10 acres.
Yeah.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay. Mr. Sissiono.
Okay.
What else we want to do?
Oh, we have to accept it as complete yet. Sorry.
I'll make a motion, we accept the application as complete.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay. Now, Mr. Sissiono.
Okay, so Mr. Lauder owns 28.02 acres on at 238 Quaker Street, and there's also frontage on John Connor Road, which is a gravel road. Quaker Street's paved. And the tax lot is 405, map 405, lot 1. So I'll be referring to lot 1. So lot 1 is not in a flood hazard zone or an aquifer protection area. Yeah, but it is in current use valuation. So what we're doing is subdividing it into 3 lots. Lot 1 is in the residential zone. Most of it's in the residential zone. And we're providing 6.5 acres in total. Let's see what's the required. In the residential zone, for that, so it would need 2.44 acres. We're providing 6.5, and 2.54 acres meets the is more than the 2.44 required for contiguous non-wetland. And that lot will have 620.14 feet of frontage. Lot 1-1 over on John Connor Road, which is gravel, has to have 10 acres, and we're providing 10 acres with 515 feet of frontage. And the minimum is 250. And lot 2.1 is going to be 11.52 acres with 289.32 feet of frontage. Basically, that's it. We've delineated all the wetlands. There's an existing, as I said, there's an existing house on lot 1. There's a well and septic system there. The 2.54 that we provide is in the back of the lot along lot 2.111. It's on the other side of all the wetlands. There's quite a bit of wetlands on that lot. And then the other 2 lots front on John Connor Road, they'll each have their own driveway, and we're not encroaching on the buffer, the 25-foot buffer. They're on either side of the property line. Showing a proposed well site in a 4K area. So basically that's it, 3 lots. Well, pretty big.
Is it 5-foot contours?
Those are 5-foot contours, yes.
Were they,
Now that it's sitting, yeah.
how are they collected? How are they created?
Pardon?
How are they created?
Most of it was done on site. It was for lot 1. The other 2, more than half of it is the front half is site. The rest is from USGS and interpolated.
The part that I'm looking at actually is near the road on lot 1-1.
Okay.
Looks like it's pretty steep there, and the wetland is on one side and lot line on the other.
Yeah, it's steep.
We've done this before in situations like this where we're looking for a center line profile, of the driveway going up there? See,
Which one?
on lot 1-1, I'm assuming you're gonna build, the building envelope would be at the top of the hill, because there's not much of a window down the bottom where it's real steep.
Well, it can go down the bottom.
I'm looking at the, I mean, that's a pretty steep driveway going up there, it looks like.
Well, if they may not meet 10% to go all the way up the hill. That's why they may have to build down where I end the driveway. That's why it's down there. And they might have to pump the sewage up the hill or,
Well,
Yeah.
if they're gonna put the septic system up there, yeah, they're gonna have to pump it, obviously.
I haven't figured out whether there's room down there. Put it, probably not. The septic systems.
I mean, the lot on Quaker Street is what it is. There's nothing else you can do there. I'm not worried, it is what it is there. And lot 1.2 looks like you can go just about anywhere on that lot without too much trouble.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
got-
and again, that could be all dug out. There's a big borrow area in there now. It's pretty gravelly soil, so.
Yeah, that
It
little
could be dug out.
horseshoe area there's a little burrow area, yeah.
So where that 300 elevation, that could be all gouged out of there, taken away, and house site can be provided in there.
Could we put it on the plan, referencing the driveway rigs for particularly that lot? Because it's gonna be, if they wanna go up the hill, it's gonna be
Well, I have a note that says it's gonna meet the regs. They have to meet the regs. Note 4.
yeah.
I'd kind of like to see some kind of at least conceptual design of how you're gonna get up the top of that hill. 'Cause I don't think anybody's gonna build in the bottom. To make it easier, you might want to twist that line a little bit and make the frontage of 1.2 a little smaller and give you a little more room in that flat area at the bottom to get your driveway going up the hill.
Yeah, it looks like the best spot to run the driveway is right up the lot line.
Yes,
I was trying to keep the driveway away from the buffer there a little bit.
well, you have lot 1-2, the driveway could be clear in the north end.
Oh, that's true.
You give that whole area between those two wetlands to lot 1.1 and the driveway would possibly work an awful lot better.
I don't think it'll make a difference really if you look at it. If you take a look at it, you're still, when you get the contour, if you go up the line to the first contour there, well, it'd be 290. It's all uphill after that. Now, that being said, if that's 290, 300, that's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 feet, okay? Hold on, I'm working on it.
Well, I scaled where it's really steep right there by where the number 300 is, a little bit to the east of that. It's about 30%.
It's 30%.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to get a driveway up there.
So no matter how, you're not gonna gain anything by moving that driveway over, for one thing. You're probably not gonna get a driveway up there. Unless you dug all the way to where it says rural agricultural.
I don't know, somebody's gonna want a driveway up there. No one's gonna buy 10 acres. And for all the money, which I'm sure is gonna be what it's gonna be sold for, and not and put it right on the road in that little tiny building envelope and have that steep slope right behind the house. Not when they got a nice big flat spot on top of the hill. I mean, if you want to put something on there saying restrict the building to down there, no problem, but I don't think you want to do that. I wouldn't.
I would twist that lot line. Make one a little bigger and give yourself a little room to get going up that hill. More, take your driveway up towards that, right up to the lot line. Instead of being 30%, you're more like 15. But I certainly want to see something how that driveway is going to work. Even if you do move the line, I want to see how the driveway is going to work.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions?
Hey, I have one question. I mean,
What's that?
could you put a, on lot 1.2, could you put a shared driveway on that section where pretty easy to put a driveway in, a shared driveway? It would be long, but it wouldn't be a bad slope. Going on to 1.1. I'm talking, where's the arrow here? Must be the north. The north corner, the northern corner. You come in there with a fairly long driveway to that second lot.
Yeah, they could do that, be fairly flat, but I don't want to dictate that to him. I think if we can show that he can get a driveway in on the lot, then it's up to him on which way he wants to go. I mean, he has the frontage, so he can do it without a wetlands permit, so there's no reason to push him into a shared driveway. If he can make one work.
Any other comments? Anybody from the public like to speak? Hearing nothing from the public, we'll bring it back to the board. Yeah, that's the only thing I can see is that driveway and monuments and Tom Carr stamp. But I really want to see how that driveway is going to work for it.
Yeah, I have a question about the monuments. All those drill holes out front,
Pardon?
I look
Say
at your
again?
all the drill holes out front.
Yeah.
I look at your key and your monument to be set and drill hole found and drill hole set. All
Well,
of
I
that
haven't set those on the road yet.
Well, that's kind of what I was wondering, but so those aren't there yet. Those are to be set.
Yeah.
Okay. Because around the rest of the plan, it says to be set. And those don't say anything.
Yeah, I thought I did. Well,
That's why I was wondering if the
Good
plans were any
point.
different.
yeah, no, that's good. That's a reasonable. I guess it was gonna be crowded. I don't know. Yeah, I usually do, but you knew they were gonna be set at some point, but yeah, they'll be labeled.
Okay.
They'll be labeled.
Here, I thought Bruce was going to say something about all the angle points not being monumented.
He's got a lot of points out there. I wasn't going to complain. I was going to.
Well, that's from an existing survey, and I didn't really survey all that again. I kind of tied into that survey. Okay, so we need a driveway. You want a driveway design, a stamp, and monuments.
Yes, but speaking of monuments, I think all those little angle points, even if it is a different survey, should be, if you're tying into another survey, I think it should be set. We should be consistent about what we're saying here.
You talking about all those? That
Yes.
section,
Northeast, the middle, north
Yep.
central,
yep, the stone wall section there between, yeah.
and then the north section too.
You know, I know you guys have, I know your regulation, what regulation are you stating for this? I know you've been doing it.
See if I can find it. Nope, that's not it.
Is it in section 8? 8.6 or something? Sorry.
I'm scrolling as fast as I can. There we go.
Change it, yeah, 861A. That's for the, along the road.
8.61B, iron pipe locations, all, it says real, but I'm sure it means rear. Lot corners and angle points inside lot lines shall be monumented with iron pipes. In the event of natural features, offsets, or drill holes will be allowed.
Yeah.
So 8.61B is your,
I think section 8, I think the heading, I think it says for major subdivision zone.
doesn't say anything about that. We could be applying it to lot line adjustments if we wanted to, but we haven't been.
Well, I was just saying that the section 8 says, refers to major, it says, I think at the heading of section 8 says for major subdivisions only, all the regulations in 8.
Maybe we scroll all the way back up there, aren't you? Okay. It does say that, doesn't it?
Yeah, but
Well,
right now-
how about we look at the driveway and we'll get back to you on that one next week, next month. See if we can come to an agreement on that. Promise not to change the regulation between now and next month.
Okay.
I'll look for it though.
Gotta be in there somewhere else, because there's no place else that requires monuments at all.
It probably isn't there, but So our next meeting is when now?
24th.
We want to continue to June 24th?
Yes.
Is that a motion?
Make a motion, we continue this till June 24th.
Seconded.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Opposed? Opposed, abstained? Okay, second item in the agenda, once I find it, is a lot line adjustment. Harold Shepherd, Timothy Farmer, Local Trust, Kurt and Deb McCaffrey, or something like that. Misty Lane, Waterman Road, tax map 101, lot 128, map 101, lot 60, map 401, lot 1.
On the application itself. One of the owners, is that address right? 17 Waterman Road?
I believe so.
The assessing card says 7 Misty Lane.
Uh-huh. Might have changed his address there, yeah.
And one of the other addresses is wrong too.
All right, they changed that down through there. There's Farmer's Lane, there's Misty's Lane, and that was changed probably a couple years ago.
How'd they get notified, Naomi?
Wendy went through it with it as the 911 coordinator. They all had a chance to weigh in. The names were selected. Wendy notified them of their new address. And if there was a question or if they didn't like it, they had the opportunity to go to the selectmen for hearing, and that didn't happen. They didn't hear back from everybody. Just like Frank Farmer used to be 361 Reservoir, and he's on 7 Farmer Lane. So they've all been changed to the Farmer Lane and the Misty Lane. So you just have to double check the tax maps, I guess.
I'll change the addresses on my plan.
How are the certified sent out?
That's what I was asking. Sounds like Wendy corrected it, but who has that record? Naomi probably doesn't have that with her.
I think the post office, I have the Farmer one, the post office copied the envelope for me and wrote 17 Farmer Lane. Who's the other one, Bruce?
Timothy Farmer?
I don't have, they might have done the same thing. I don't have his as being returned back to me. I got Art's back, and I got a Norman Dubois back. And then I just got copies from the post office of the other ones that they changed. But it looks like they forwarded them because it was a copy of the envelope. Not sure if that's proper, but that's what I'm looking at in the folder.
I mean, the assessing card says something different than what the notifications were sent out to, so it's supposed to go by the assessing data, right?
Yes. We probably need to re-notify the people at the right address.
What are you gonna do? Continue? Or what are you doing with it? It's straightforward, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I
Can
think we
I
have to,
Can I call Frank Farmer to see if he got notified?
I mean, if he was at the meeting, he could leave it, but I'd call him. I don't, not sure that's,
Well, if they got notified, they got notified, that's all.
well, we don't know if they got notified.
What's that?
We don't know if they got notified, but no, a letter came back with an envelope, a copy of the envelope, that's, we know.
Art, how did you get the addresses?
Well, they probably, I don't know, they were probably left on from another, from other plans, I would say now. I didn't change them.
Because the tax maps are online and you can use that tool to make your abutters.
No, I know,
Okay.
I agree.
Well, we opened the hearing, I say we continue it till, well, we're gonna go to June 24th. And notify those two people who had the wrong address, re-notify them.
Just them or,
I think just them, because anybody else that was notified should be, if they have concerns, should be at the meeting, should be.
right, but I'm just saying I may get envelopes still back if they go to another town, takes a little longer. I don't know.
I'd,
If we can verify the addresses and then re-notify to all, I mean, that's the safest way of doing it versus, because I don't know that I'll get it back from the post office or when I'll get it back. Or if it got delivered, I can't determine that.
Well, if they've, yes, okay.
so we'll continue it and verify all
I would
addresses.
feel safer to notify everybody.
Yeah,
And we can take the map and lot number, Art, and we can check with the assessing data. I can have Karen do that because Karen's been helping me do the notifications because it's up to me right now, so.
so we continue till June 24th.
Oh.
And re-notify all the abutters.
Is that a motion?
I made a motion, yes.
I'll second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Yeah.
Okay, next item on the agenda is
Yeah.
Eversource. Tree trimming on scenic roads. Public hearing pursuant to RSA 231:158. He's gonna be doing some trimming on Duck Pond, Nichols Road, Tiffany Hill Road, and West Quaker Road. The specs are to removal of all brush and limbs less than 4 inches in diameter located 8 feet of the side, 10 feet below, and 15 feet above the conductors. Larger limbs are trees that present a threat to Eversource lines or other equipment because decay or defect will be removed on a case-by-case basis. Is anybody here from Eversource?
Craig, Corey Keefe should be on. I think Corey's on.
I see his name. Okay.
Yep, I am on. Okay, thank you. And if I apologize, my internet is not good tonight. I will call in if I get disconnected. But thank you very much, Chairman. My name is Corey Keefe. I'm the arborist representing Eversource tonight. And as you mentioned, those are the spec that we're looking to trim on the scenic roads, Duck Pond Road, Nichols Road, Tiffany Hill, and West Quaker. Our specification calls, as you mentioned, for the removal of brush that are 4 inches and less in diameter and limbs that are within 8 feet of the wires, 15 feet above, and 10 feet below. In addition to doing the tree trimming along the town scenic roads, we'd also like to ask the town for permission to remove several dead, dying, or decayed trees that have been marked with the blue and white checkered ribbons on those roads that pose a high risk of failing and striking our conductors. We're not planning to do any trimming on Mount Dearborn Road this year. This is on a different circuit, which is scheduled for next year, so I'll have a scenic road hearing at that time. However, one customer who lives on Mount Dearborn Road reached out to us, and he was concerned about a hazardous tree on his property. I was wondering if I'd be able to include that tonight, just that one tree on that road. We have contracted with Aspen Tree Expert to do all the tree work taking place in town. We require that our contractor contacts all abuttering property owners, all homeowners where we're doing any tree trimming or removing any trees. And that's typically when the individual concerns are addressed next time. So even if the planning board grants us permission tonight, trees in the right of way, we would still get permission from the abutters as well. And that's about everything. And there any questions or concerns or comments?
I got a question. Because we didn't put Mount Dearborn Road on this list, can we do it? Because that wasn't part of the public hearing. It wasn't noticed as Mount Dearborn Road was being included here.
Is that one, the one about Dearborn, you said it was decayed and dying? Corey, is that right?
Yeah, it's a heavy leaning tree where it looks like some of the roots were severed at the base, and it's got heavy lean, some decay at the base.
I think if it's a public hazard, I think we can let him take it out. I'm trying to read RSA 231-158 right now.
I just thought I'd ask the question.
Well, according to 231:158(1), the tree has to be over 15 inches diameter, so I 4 feet above the ground. So I don't see any problem with you cutting down 4-inch limbs.
No, it's just the trees, I think that.
Yeah.
The only public hearing really, I think, is just for the trees. The brush and limbs, I don't think matter.
If that one on Mount Dearborn's diseased or dying, I don't have an issue with it either. Anybody else have any comments?
Yeah, down further, it says, may upon such hearing, but only with the written permission of selectmen, remove trees or portions of trees which have been declared a public nuisance. Without a hearing. So I think if worst case, you ask the selectman for a letter saying you can cut it down because you're not having a hearing on that particular road because it wasn't listed, then you're good to go. You see that, Craig?
I haven't got there yet.
Oh,
Oh, there it is. Yes, I would say a letter to the selectmen and I don't understand now. I think it's a letter informing the selectmen.
it says only with written permission of the selectmen.
Where do you see that?
7 days prior to such hearing, provided whoever the road agent is designated without such a hearing, but only with a written permission of the selectmen.
Oh, I missed that. I highlighted starting at remove. Okay.
Oh.
The next word I highlighted.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, you need written permission.
That one on Mount Dearborn only, because it wasn't part of this notice.
Right. But I can certainly say that if it's a diseased or decayed, they ought to be bringing that, let you do it.
Yeah.
Mr. Meany, what do you have to say? You've been
Say
quiet.
that Corey could probably contact the selectman's office and be put on the agenda, and then we can have him speak to it and give him the written permission.
Okay, so we have to give approval for Duck Pond, Nichols Road, Tiffany Hill, and West Quaker Road. Not gonna have to do Mount Dearborn.
Nobody, Corey, nobody's contacted you, asking what the marked trees were or anything, or no concerns?
Oh, I'm sorry, can you say that one more time? It kind of went in and out.
What was that?
I think my internet's being poor right now. I missed what you said. Do I need to bring that to the select board attention? Is that correct?
For the Mount Dearborn Road one, yes.
Okay. All right. I will do that.
But nobody's made any attempt to contact Eversource about those ribbons, ask what they are or anything, or?
No, yeah, we haven't received any customer requests about that or any issues with them marked. And we would ask, we would go back and knock door to door for their permission as well before we cut any of those down, or and if we got approval from you. Yep.
Okay.
You guys are being awful quiet.
Did you solicit public input yet, Craig?
Oh, I guess I didn't, did I? Anybody from the public like to speak about the tree trimming on scenic roads? Hearing none. Close the public comment. Back to the board.
I make a motion, we grant public Eversource's request for tree trimming on the historic roads as listed here in the notice.
Scenic roads.
Scenic roads, yes.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Okay, thank you, Corey. Next item on the agenda is expedited site plan.
Thank you very
review.
much. Have a good night.
You too. Lang Touch Center of Ware, care of REI Service Corp. Tax map 109 lot 7, commercial zone for rehabbing the parking lot, basically. We saw this conceptually a while ago.
Mr. Chairman? I've got to recuse myself from this application. I've got some work I'm doing for those guys or the subdivision.
Okay. Now we're down to 4. So reading through the application, the impervious area is being decreased, so they don't need a conditional use permit. Going through the checklist, which I did about 2 hours ago. Seems like everything's here. So for expediency, I'll make a motion to accept the application as complete.
I'll second it.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Leonard, I believe, right?
Yes, good evening. My name is Kevin Leonard from North Point Engineering. I'm here representing this application. I have the ability to share the plan, but it sounds like you guys all have copies of the plan. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just gonna kind of walk you through it. As you recall, all the existing buildings on the property are not proposed to change. All the same users. We're trying to basically rehab the parking lot and improve circulation, drainage, pedestrian safety, and just general curb appeal. Some of that stuff out there is pretty tired. The existing site has 126 spaces, and the rehabilitated site will have 128 spaces. We're actually increasing the parking count by 2. All new parking will be 18 by 9, 88 handicap parking spaces, putting in all new granite curb. We're trying to provide parking closer to the buildings, so we're adding parking against the sidewalk on the large building in the back there. Also putting parking on the side of the subway on that same building. Adding some islands, trying to separate drive-through traffic flow at the Dunkins away from the larger building in the back. In particular, the daycare drop-offs coming and going, trying to separate those 2 uses. Just makes sense. We are eliminating that park. There's a sort of a remote parking lot in the front. It's on the right as you're driving into the property. We're eliminating that space and turning that back into green space. You'll note that we're expanding the drive-through length. We're trying to kind of create more of a queue there. Dunkin' Donuts is planning to upgrade all of their signage, the menu board, and that kind of thing to the current Dunkin' standards. We have created a separate delivery and staff parking area for the Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts currently has steps kind of at the front door. We're changing the grade so that those steps are eliminated. It'll just be a normal curb reveal there through there. Trying to make it more ADA friendly. We are in the aquifer protection zone, but we, as the chairman mentioned, we're decreasing impervious area, so we don't believe we need a special use permit. That's the gist of what we're doing. I guess I'm happy to go through the plans in detail or answer questions.
Okay. I believe we mentioned it's conceptual. And actually, you may have brought it up. I don't know. Somebody did. That if you walk out of Dunkin' Donuts and go south, you got that 2-way traffic right there against the building.
Yep.
That just seems strange right there to have 2-way traffic to me. Why would you want 2-way traffic there? I mean,
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
That did come up at the conceptual hearing, and I kind of went back to the ownership of the property and described that concern. And the reason that Dunkin's didn't feel like that was a good idea to they want to be able to have circulation, not only people coming out of the drive-through to be able to cycle back through. They don't want to funnel. I think you were proposing to funnel that right back to the drive aisle that is east of the Dunkin's.
I was thinking if you go through the drive-through, you just keep going, and basically do a little bit of a curb, but you keep going south. So you couldn't drive beside the building if you're coming out of the drive-through.
I see what you're saying.
So you can't go east in that area, directly south of the
right.
building.
I think the other reason that the ownership was interested in leaving it the way it is that some of the middle parking spaces, I'll call it, which are south of Dunkin' Donuts, is used by the larger building. And so if people come in there and say, don't find a space, they want to be able to cycle around to the next row of spaces. So the thought was that they wanted to keep that two-way.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
the only thing I see with that, I understand their idea, but more often than not, that side of the building is used as a parking area, even though it's labeled no parking. People constantly park there instead of trying to park in front. And then it causes a choke point for the traffic either way on that south side of the building, whether it's the two-way.
People are parking on the south side of the building.
Oh, constantly.
Our hope is that won't happen, and we've got more spaces in close
Yeah,
proximity.
instead of parking in front, they'll park on the side if there's not enough spaces, or there's the drive-up line is too long to get access to those spaces, which is a constant problem also.
Would the no parking signs be beneficial there?
It might, but the problem is there's been markings for it, but who's going to enforce it?
That's a good point. This was the preferred layout of the ownership of the property.
Well, I think the real, one of the problems was just mentioned is you've got plenty of parking, but if there's a long line in the takeout, you can't get at it. You can't get at the parking on the north side. You can't get at the parking on the east side, or it's very difficult. And
I think that's been greatly improved because we've got more queue now in the drive aisle, and we also have a second lane for mobile orders, which probably, maybe folks aren't really doing that right now, but when they realize that they're 10th in line in the normal line and the mobile line is cruising ahead to the front of the pack, the Dunkin's is seeing that at many of their stores that's becoming used more, and it's overall just reducing the queue.
Is there an idea of how many cars can sit in the queue today before blocking parking space versus how many cars would be able to park under the new model before they start interfering with the parking spaces?
In the current plan, I believe it's 14 cars can be on the inside lane, processing through the drive-through, and then you can have additional cars on the second lane using the mobile line. Based on what I've gathered, that isn't usually stacking up with lots of cars, but you get a couple at a time that will realize that's faster and go that route. So you're talking, over 15 cars that you have in the queue before you're blocking parking spaces, which is significantly better than what's there today.
What's there today, do you know?
Well, I
As a
don't
guess?
have it. My guess is 1, 2, 3, maybe half that, 7 or 8.
Yeah, I was going to say about 6 to 8 cars, and then you can't pull into any of those parking spaces in front of the building. And if you are in one of those, you're going to play havoc trying to back out of one of them. It's awful narrow through there, and it does back up, and it's a regular basis right now, almost daily. I understand that's because they're having a hard time having help to come in and open the building to greet them at the counter, but just the same, even when they did have that, especially on a weekend, you'd see it back right out past that two-way drive on the south side of the building. And it depends on, you know, how long people order, what they order, if you're getting big orders through the drive up instead of, you know.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well,
The improvements are obviously trying to improve the situation.
I'm trying to figure out the advantage of having that two-way traffic right there, to be honest with you. I mean, if somebody's pulling into one of the parking spaces in front of Dunkin's, they can go out the drive-through and loop around the building without having to go through the drive-through. If you're coming down through the drive-through, why would you want traffic going beside the building?
I think that if you're in the easterlymost lane, approaching the store, right? And say the drive-through is backed up, it gives you an opportunity to say, oh, I don't want to go deal with that traffic in the queue. I can turn towards the south side of the building and swoop back around and find a parking spot and run in if I want. Or you have someone that's not actually trying to go to the Dunkin' Donuts and they're trying to do the cycling around to park in the middle spaces for the larger building.
I don't have a problem with the traffic going westerly. I have an issue with traffic going easterly. I should say a problem. Problem's the wrong word. I don't think it's necessary. Because the only people coming down there should be either coming out of the drive-through or in the parking lot. If they're in the parking lot, they can. That's the only reason. If you're pulling out of one of those parking spaces and want to drive around the island for some reason.
Or you're on the main drive, you pull onto that second aisle, and there are no parking spots. You need to be able to cycle around if there's no parking spots. So it's not only just the drive-through traffic, but it's the people that are coming around from the main middle lot.
I see your point. Finally. What new drainage are you proposing? Catch basins, etc. I had a hard time following that.
Okay.
And it's because of the size of the plan. It's not.
Do you want me to pull up the big plan on the screen, or?
If you could, that'd be great. If you and Naomi can wing it and get that done.
Kevin, can you get it up yet on the plan?
I'm
I
trying to do it now. Choose what's entire screen. There we go. You got me now?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to skip ahead here. First, I should point out that there's a drainage network that runs along that same drive aisle here, comes through here, runs parallel to the entrance, and then cuts over and runs over to the southeast corner in the right of way by kind of to the east of the end of the Langhouse Grocers building. And then there's a trunk line that runs from back here in the southwest corner of the parking lot and runs kind of along the bottom of the parking lot and in front of Langhouse and ties into the same system. So this is kind of a Y drainage system that exists today. All we're doing is teeing off of that a little bit. So we're putting a catch basin in south of the Dunkin's to try to capture some of the drainage in that area there. And then similarly, off the end of this island, we're tying in here and running a line up and through kind of close to the large building along the curb line. One of the reasons we're doing that is the existing leach fields. There's one leach field here, kind of in the drive aisle, and then another one here that's in the parking lot. And we're raising this island area so that we're not cutting the grade over the leach fields, and draining back towards the curb line, the face of the building. So we have a low point here on the front. So we're basically sucking that water out and grabbing it here and sucking it down, tying into the existing system. We're also embellishing. There's an existing ditch at the back of the property on the west side that we're just kind of reestablishing, so that water drains from there and hits this head wall and makes it into the system. Is that helpful?
Well, I wasn't following your mouse as fast as you were talking, but
Okay, sorry.
that's all right. I'm looking at plans and trying to, but I see it now. The main thing you're doing is coming off of the catch basin in the middle of Langtot's parking lot.
Yep, here.
And you're adding a trunk line out towards Subway, basically.
Yep, yep. And then we're doing a
That's-
similar thing on the south side of Duncan's.
Yes. Okay.
But right now the parking lot's really flat and doesn't drain super well. And we're, with the addition of the curb, the islands and stuff, we needed to embellish the drainage a little bit.
Yeah, that certainly is flat.
Is there anything else you want to see on the plans?
Maybe, yes. The lighting plan. If I can get
Sure.
there.
So we're proposing all new pole mounted LED lights throughout the whole parking lot. You may recall that today some of the lights are like in the parking lot. We're making sure all the lights now are going to be in an island. Just works out better. They're protected better, and it makes for easier for plowing.
So it appears that the light that's south, I guess it's west of the gas pumps. It has an S52 in the middle of it.
Yep.
Appears to have quite a bit of light out on the highway. Well, not quite a bit, but some. A little bit, I should say. More than the others. Is there any way that could be downcast a little more so it's not going up the highway so much?
We could simply just maybe slide it back a little bit.
Yeah, you slide it back 20
In
feet.
that island. Yep.
Yeah.
That's easy to do. I mean, those numbers are still pretty small, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, they're pretty small, but it's just when you're driving by, you see this light in this side of your face driving by.
Yep. I have no problem moving that to tuck that back in a little bit.
Well, I talked you into that pretty easy. Can I try something else now? How about
Sure.
how about a couple trees up there where you're taking out that remote parking lot? A little bit of landscaping.
Yes, definitely. We can definitely do some landscaping. The ownership plans to do some landscaping, really. They hadn't had me put together a plan, but we're definitely open to put some trees up there. And for that matter, we want to put some trees in the islands and there's not a lot of landscaping out there now, and they want to make it look nice. So that's very reasonable.
Yeah, they're 15, 20 trees to make this place look an awful lot better.
Yep, I think.
And
yeah.
I just pulled a number out of the air. I didn't even think about it until I said it. So don't hold me to 15 or 20 or whatever.
Well, on page 2, they are actually showing maple trees and pear tree, it looks like, and that
Now I've shuffled my pages.
those are existing trees. So there's some trees currently in some of the islands that are, because the islands are moving, the trees are being removed. There's some good sized trees along the frontage of the bigger building on the west. A couple of those trees are a casualty of the new parking lot design, because we're actually bringing the sidewalk and curb line closer to the building. But a couple of those on the north end will be salvaged up through here.
Up through here, I wasn't looking, sorry. Up through where?
I'm sorry, on the north end of the large building, this 14-inch pair and that
Oh, okay. Yep.
will be salvaged. We're happy to provide you with a landscape plan. If that could be considered maybe as a condition, possibly. Anything else you'd like to see on the plans?
The only thing else, no, not really. I mean, the erosion control, it's all goes to swale beside line cots. It's not going to go anywhere, because I know the soil's out there. It's going to suck the water up like crazy.
Yeah, make sure we put silt fence at the right of way. We're working on the drive-through area and inlet protection at the catch basins. You know, interim construction, but it should be straightforward. I anticipate they're probably going to do it in phases too when they build it, because they're trying to, keep the businesses open and such.
Yeah, I assume you're not going to pave it all at one time.
No, I think they'll work it in sections, I think. Anything else you'd like to see on the plan?
I'm good with the plans, thank you. Lost one of them, but does anybody from the audience have any questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll go back to the board. Anybody else have any questions?
A couple of comments.
Good. What's that?
Well, I want to go back to the lighting for a moment. I think it's important, especially out along 114, that we have downcast lighting that isn't going to affect driving on the road. The other thing is, there's a certain inconvenience right now, and that isn't going to change much. But on the other hand, I don't think they've had any, I don't think there's been accident. I know there's been some verbal battles in the line, but that most Dunkin' Donuts have these similar drive around parking problems. I don't think that's really a reason to, I think it's just a fact of life. Apparently they're adding parking, it's all hard to get to, especially when there's a line. But I don't think that's a reason to necessarily, try to solve the problem. I don't think you can.
I agree with everything you just said, Chuck, but at the same time, I think the parking layout that's proposed compared to what's existing puts the parking a lot closer to most of the buildings. Well, I shouldn't say a lot closer. It puts most of it closer.
Yeah.
So there'd be less people walking around getting run over, hopefully.
Well, the good news is nobody has got run over. I'm not sure. I don't know what the record is down there.
We also were trying to make sure all the drive aisles were, aligned up with each other so that you could easily navigate around. And snow plowing has been a problem out there because drive aisles are heading in perpendicular directions right now, and everything kind of lines up better now. So it'll be easier to maintain.
I have a question as well as a comment. The question is, you're going to, part of this rehab plan, is it going to enhance the entrance to the parking area or into the plaza? Because it's certain weather conditions, night, fog, the entrance is not well defined. You can end up either on the wrong side of the island or driving up on the lawn there. It's there's no real delineation of exactly where the entrance is. That's right now.
We're proposing the actual driveway entrance in DOT right away. We're not proposing the change. We are looking to rebuild the median because the median that's there now is a little beat up. It also, I don't think it has vertical granite curb. And I've heard from the property manager that people try to pop over that thing at times, which seems a little odd. But so we're putting a new median in with vertical granite curb and concrete, down the middle, kind of like you'd find at a lighted intersection or something, to try to discourage that from happening. And we could certainly look at providing some landscaping at the entrance, which would help define kind of where it is on the right as you're pulling in.
The other part of the comment is going back to the south side of the building and the 2-lane road.
Yep.
Looking at that, you could probably propose it to be, expand towards the building with an island or expand the parking over another space and put it down to a one way out or one way in, whatever, and mark it that way. And that might solve your problem that way. And especially, like I said, the issue that happens constantly. Anybody that goes there on a regular basis will see it, that they park right alongside that building all the time.
Backing up to something that Jack said about the median divider. I'm not going to say it happens all the time, but it happens quite often. People coming south to pull into the gas pumps will just kind of cut the corner off and pull right up into the gas pumps. Quite often. So the median, the very point of that median is kind of driven over quite often. So I don't know what the solution to that is, but I know you can't put it out in the right of way. The state's not going to let you do that, I'm sure.
Right.
And you're saw cutting the pavement at the right of way line, so you're not even messing with the DOT, and I don't blame you. But people do cut that corner off, and
We're adding, we're redoing the median. We're gonna put the signage all back up, have do not enter signs there, and we're actually adding that big thick stop bar. Obviously, I can't prevent someone from trying to cut through there when they're not supposed to go through there, but we're trying to make it very clear to everybody that that isn't what's intended. The other thing that we did is, right now, if you're parked at like Lang Tots, for instance, people will back up and then they'll go on the highway side of the pumps. They'll sneak around the pumps. And I guess that's also caused some near misses kind of thing, because people at the pumps don't realize someone's sneaking around them. So we're tightening that up with a granite curb there so that people can't do that.
oh, come on.
So if you're at Lang Tots parked, basically gonna want you to come out the other way and not sneak around the side.
So if you're the second guy in line getting gas, you got to back up and pull around everybody to get out instead of backing up and pulling around them, going straight ahead.
I guess so.
Speaking of somebody who does that, yes.
Well, the situation at the gas pumps is no better than it is at the Dunkin' Donuts, but there again, I think there's not a lot that can be done to improve it.
No. Just having the median sign up on the median at the right of way line is going to help that a little bit. People aren't going to drive over a sign.
Well, you put some steel posts in there, couldn't you?
Yeah.
I don't know if they look to beautify it any, but
Any other comments, questions? It seems like we have move a light pole, look at some landscaping, and we don't seem to like that little two-way strip just south of Dunkin' Donuts. But other than that, we don't really have any issues. I kind of understand the two-way traffic right there, but I don't like it. How's that for an answer?
I wish that Duncan's owner was on, but I don't believe he is. Because he really, we studied that kind of at length, and he felt that that was the way it should be.
Do they have any information possibly, and I don't want to throw a monkey wrench into it, but do they have, and they must have some statistical information of how many cars are at 8 o'clock in the morning, how many cars are at 9 o'clock in the morning, processing through the drive-through? Because with that data, you could probably extrapolate how many of those parking spots would typically be interfered with on, during their peak times. Because my guess is it's not all day, it's just during a couple peak, would be my guess.
I was told that part of the efficiency of a drive-through is partly has to do with the sixth car being at the menu board. And so this new layout is going to achieve that, and they're going to replace the menu board with a I can't say that I've looked at the menu board they have now in detail, but basically a new menu board. And with the new system, it increases efficiency, and there's enough spacing between the menu board and the pickup window that it keeps cars kind of moving through, and it limits you sitting at the drive-through window waiting for something. So you kind of just keeps the flow moving. And obviously, Duncan's got a pretty sophisticated and widespread business model, and I've kind of been studying this and got this figured out. And we worked with corporate to lay this out to make it work to the best of their what their system is.
Yeah, I'm a voter for, you get like the black only, right? You get coffee, just coffee, no Kappa Frica Chica Mika Buiko Aka.
I go to Cumberland Farms, sorry. The only thing, that two-way traffic, I don't see an issue. I don't see how to solve the problem, because if you're gonna have two-way traffic, for lack of a better term, in the center aisle, you have to have two-way traffic up there. Otherwise, people are gonna get stuck, and they're gonna do it anyway. If I explain myself very well, I don't know.
I concur with that.
The only way to make it one-way traffic just south of the building is to make it one-way traffic in the center aisle. And I don't think you want to do that because then nobody's going to use those, however many 9 parking spaces or however many it is. Because nobody's going to drive up and drive around to get in there. At least not very many. I don't like having that two-way traffic right there, but I don't see a way out of it without eliminating that two-way traffic in the middle aisle. I don't think you want to eliminate that two-way traffic in the middle aisle.
I agree with that.
I knew you would. It's your plan. I don't really like it, but I don't go to Dunkin' Donuts anyway, so it doesn't matter to me. The only thing else we really have, if the board agrees with that one, is landscaping and moving the pole. I don't feel comfortable with you presenting a landscaping plan and me signing the plan saying, yep, there's a landscaping plan, if you're approved, making a conditional approval. It's a judgment call as to how many trees you want, how many what we want, unfortunately. I think you're gonna, I hope the board members can understand that. We make conditional approval, it's, you make the plant changes, nobody calls me up, I stop in, I sign the plans, I'm gone. So it's not, it shouldn't be my judgment, should we look at it and say yes? But to do that, you're making the determination landscape plan is adequate. It's not the board. We ought to at least look at it. Because obviously you're wiping out most of the trees. You're gonna leave the 2 up there by daycare and some down by Langtots, but that's about it. And some should be.
Could a landscaping plan be required before implemented? The only reason I ask is that I feel like contractors are selected and they're hoping to like get moving on this, and I'd hate for the whole thing to be delayed because of landscaping if there's a way around it.
I understand that. That's why I was trying to explain and hoping somebody had an answer for me. We go to workshop on the 10th.
About this, Greg, do we give him a conditional go ahead on the premise that he submit an addendum, say by the 10th for that landscaping? So they can at least, I don't know.
I'm open to however you think we should be handled.
Well, being the new BLS, can you give a conditional approval on the grounds that a landscape plan has to be approved by the board by a specific date?
That's a good idea.
Well,
Because then you're stating that a landscape, if you're not happy with the landscape plan that's submitted, you have a right to say no, and they have to fix it, right?
well, yeah, but if we give them a conditional approval pending a landscape plan, they rip up half the parking lot. We aren't gonna tell them to stop. Because we want 10 more trees. Stop what you're doing.
Yep. You asked for a suggestion.
I understand. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Kevin, this is Naomi. Would 2, you know, you've got this coming weekend's a holiday, so even if the 10th isn't that far away, if they're willing to make that 10th for you,
That's,
because you know, you've got really nothing's going to happen in the next few days because there's a long weekend. Tuesday's the 1st, and it would really be a few days if you could turn that landscaping around for the 10th. They're willing to put you in on their work session to get you moving.
That's true. That's fine. You know, I was just, the only other suggestion I possibly had was if we agreed to some dollar amount of landscaping, possibly, if you had something in mind. But if that doesn't work, I think the 10th makes sense. I can definitely get you a landscaping plan in advance of that meeting.
yeah, and if the plans, I mean, the landscaping plan's good and decent, which I don't doubt it will be. I could swing in Friday morning and sign it, and you guys be good to go on the 11th or 12th.
Right.
I got one more question. Are you changing the
Yep.
sign? Are you changing the sign?
Not as part of this application. I don't know that the ownership may elect to pursue that separately and would obviously need to permit it with the town.
Yep, okay. Not right now. That's all I need to know. So if you move the poles, add some landscaping, move that one light pole,
Yep.
add your landscaping, come back the 11th. Hopefully we can get you done, and I think we'll be good to go. So Jack's gonna make a motion to continue to the June 11th, right?
Yeah, I'll
June
make
10th.
that motion. So moved.
Who's gonna second it?
I'll second.
There we go. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, sir. See you on June 10th.
Thank you.
Craig,
Yes.
could I just inject an observation here?
Uh-oh. Sure.
Well, and it probably would never work, but if you, on the northern, there's a kind of a point there where their lot starts, right on frontage of 114, right on that northern point. Up, where are we? Yeah, the northernmost point of that lot. If in fact the driveway went in there and right straight through that Dunkin' Donuts and back out onto the highway, all your parking would be freed up. You wouldn't have that traffic problem. It's probably a major change, and maybe it wouldn't work. I don't know. I don't know if you can understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think I do.
Yeah, the problem, Chuck, is then you gotta go to the state, the DOT, to get another entrance approval. And
Well, I'm
that
sure-
takes some time.
It was just, it looked like it would really enhance the flow, but I guess we have to live with what's there now. And it was never suggested by the owners. Anyway, I just was looking at it. Thank you.
Well, while I understand what you're saying, Chuck, I think the state would frown upon that. Just because it's another access point off 114, they want to keep the access points to a minimum.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah, I will. They only give you one. That's better than two. But yeah, I understand. It's not a bad idea though. How much frontage do you have there? You have lots of frontage. I think that'd be a tough sell in the state.
I'm not suggesting it. I guess I'm just a dream.
Well, we already closed the hearing anyway, so it's too late to ask them. Okay, so the next item on the agenda, once I find the agenda, is a site plan review and conditional use permit at 55 B&B Lane, tax map 411, lot 197 in the industrial zone. Applications for 2 above ground liquid propane fuel storage tanks and a leach field.
Bruce, are you returning to the board for voting member?
I am.
Thank you.
Thank you. And looking through the application, it seemed to be pretty complete. I know we looked at it conceptually here a month or 2 ago.
Mr. Chair, if it would be helpful, at that meeting, it was a design review meeting and the board did vote at that meeting to find the application complete.
Yes. Hoping somebody would already do that by now to make the motion, but you know, sometimes it's like pulling teeth to get Bruce to say anything.
Already been done, isn't it?
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll
Second,
second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, abstained? Okay. Yes, we got accepted again.
Thank you.
Go ahead, explain what you're doing again, I guess.
Sure. So thank you very much. My name is Sandra Gay. I am an attorney at Archipelago Law at Portland, and I'm the permitting attorney for this project. Again, this board, I'm sure recalls, this project was reviewed at a design review meeting on March 25th. And with me tonight is Peter Kropp. Peter is a representative from E&I, the applicant. Also Chris Tamula, who's the project engineer with GPI Engineering, and Jody Amadin with Crown Energy Solution. So again, very briefly for the record, the property is located at 55 B&B Lane. It's a 2.6 acre parcel in the location of Putnam Fuel. The property is located in the town's industrial zoning district and within the aquifer protection zone. The property, as the chair had mentioned, is presently improved with a 2-bay mechanic shop and diesel fueling area. These uses will remain, and 2 30,000 gallon liquid propane tanks will be added in addition to the subsurface waste system. The property, again, is located in the industrial district where fuel storage and distribution centers are permitted and allowed by right. So at the design review meeting, the board determined that in addition to the site plan application, the project required a conditional use permit application as a result of the increase in the maximum lot coverage. So that application, the conditional use application, is provided in the packet that you've received at tab 3. The site plan application is at tab 2. And a description of the proposed project that includes how the project meets the criteria for the conditional use application is found at tab 1. And I think that with that, I will turn this over to Chris, who can walk you through the site plan and answer any questions you have about that. And then also to Jody, who can talk about the tanks and answer any questions that you have about that. I'm happy to answer any questions that I can be helpful with as well.
Great. Thank you, Sandra. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Chris Tamula. I'm a project manager at Greenman Peterson. If the chair would allow me, I'd like to share my screen and just basically go over the items that Sandra was just talking about.
Please, if Naomi's still there. Oh, there she is.
Sorry, I had to send my dogs home.
All
My
right, so,
son's dog's home.
so everybody can see my screen right now.
Yes.
All right, great. So as Sandra mentioned, the site's located at 55 B&B Lane. On the screen, B&B Lane is located on the bottom of the screen. The mechanic shop that she was referencing is located centrally here. There is a diesel fueling canopy located here, and the remainder of the above ground fuel storage is located in the back of the lot here. We have two curb cuts, one located on this side of the site and one located on that side of the site. That provides access into the site and out through the rear through a gravel parking lot and driveway. As Sandra mentioned as well, we are proposing two 30,000 gallon propane fuel tanks. They're above ground tanks centrally located in the front of the site. We'll be maintaining the same driveway circulation and driveway access through these two curb cuts, and we'll be showing a new gravel driveway connection between the two driveways. In addition to the above ground fuel storage tanks, we do have some snow storage areas flanking the sides. And as you can see, there are two what we call bobtail parking spaces, which are located to the left and right of the propane tanks. The entire propane tank and the bobtail system is surrounded by a 6-foot tall chain link fence, and the gates to the bobtail parking spaces, they are locked gated access points. From a grading and drainage perspective, as you may all recall, the original plan, we had called out some silt fence along the sides, and it was requested for us to change that from silt fence to a silt sock type sediment control device, so which we have done now today as part of this current plan. Additional erosion controls consist of the gravel construction exit to prevent tracking of dirt onto the roadway system. And we're also showing this hatched out pattern here, which is a 5-foot wide infiltration trench. So what that will do is that will be located down gradient of the entire development that we're being proposed, and it'll pick up any stormwater runoff and then recharge into the groundwater through this newly adapted infiltration trench. And then finally, the original plan, we were just showing the 4K area for the proposed septic system. We are now showing the actual schematics of the septic system itself. So we have a septic tank and the actual enviroseptic leach field. Additionally, we had shifted the well to be within 5 feet of the adjacent property. So that has been shifted over 5 feet further into the property. Again, on this utility plan, we are showing lighting. The well is now feeding the garage with a new water service. Additionally, the septic system will be submitted to DES next week in the hopes that we do get approval from the state. I think that's pretty much it in a nutshell. There's not a lot going on here. As we mentioned, we're just showing two additional 30,000 gallon propane tanks. It's an existing facility with fuel storage on site. I think we addressed most, if not all, the comments that were at the previous meeting. And I'd be happy to answer any questions regarding the site plan. And as Sandra had mentioned, Jody is here to discuss any operational items relative to the above ground fuel storage tanks. And then here's just a sort of a green and gray pretty picture of what the site would look like.
While you got that pretty picture up there,
Sure.
is there any chance at all that you could reduce some of your impervious area to compensate for some of the increase?
Well, again, the impervious that we're calling out is includes both the any concrete, any pavement, any building structures, as well as the gravel. So the gravel is needed to get into the site and access the propane fuel storage tanks. We are showing minimums. We're not showing 30-foot wide driveway aisles, which we normally would show. We're showing 25-foot wide drive aisle. We've tried to minimize the amount of land disturbance and additional gravel that's on the site.
No, I understand that, but I was asking if you had looked at, instead of just adding impervious, maybe reducing some somewhere else. You got a cross driveway that goes to JMC over there. You got it right up against a lot line in places.
Yeah, what we're trying to do with the new propane tanks in the front is we're trying not to disturb any of the remainder of the site. It's currently obviously in operation, in use. The original plan had actually shown some fencing crossing this driveway, and then surrounding the entire site. In speaking with Energy North, the operations department had determined that they don't really want to touch anything in the rear of the site just from an operational point of view. So we removed all the fencing and just really relocated all the fencing to surround the new propane tanks. So I'm just not sure if we could really reduce anything further in the rear.
Point of order, I think we should, the board needs to accept the conditional use permit application also, so we can run these two simultaneously. I was gonna say contiguously, but that's a surveying thing. So if somebody can make a motion to accept the conditional use permit application as
I'll make
well.
that.
So moved.
Good, we got a
I'll
first and second discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We all knew we were gonna talk about both of them, but let's make it, we got an attorney present. So it's gonna be, I did get a letter someplace from the fire wards. From Chief Vizina. Just wanted to comment on advise the planning board regarding the proposed fuel storage facility submitted for map 411 lot 197. As the project is beyond the expertise of this office, I anticipate requesting technical assistance from the State Fire Marshal Office for building and safety construction. So I don't know exactly what he's going to ask, what's going to happen there, but he went on to say the town could incur some expenses with his technical assistance. So I would assume that the applicant would pay for any assistance we need from the State Fire Marshal Office.
Yes.
Be just like an engineer reviewing the drainage calculations, only we aren't going to do that because you don't hardly have any drainage. So I just want to let you know about that. I don't know if you guys got that letter or not, but
No, we actually did not get that letter, but yes, I think that the applicant will pay for those
it
reviews.
was dated May 24th, by the way. I'm sure Naomi can get it to you, or I could for that matter. Everything else seems, I kind of like the fence the whole way around it, but I can see why I wouldn't want to do that for two reasons, but I kind of agree with Bruce. It'd be nice to put some grass someplace out back where you're not driving over it, but if you can't, you can't.
I have one general question is, once this operation is approved and up and running, how much increase in traffic? Because obviously it's going to be all the trucks come in for home delivery and so forth. How much do you expect for the traffic to increase in that area?
Yeah, we don't really anticipate that there being much of an increase in truck traffic. I do believe Pete Crop is here from Energy North, and I think Pete could probably answer that better than anybody in our team.
Yes, I'm here. Mr. Chair and the board, thanks for having us tonight. As far as truck traffic, the increase in truck traffic for the smaller bobtail home deliveries, we could safely say there'd be 2 to 3 additional trucks on site. And in a well operating system, they'd leave in the morning, come back around noon, refuel, come back in the evening, and that would be it. And then you'd have an additional larger transport truck for a site this size about every 2 to 3 days in the winter. In the summer, once, maybe twice a week. So it would not be substantial increase in traffic.
What about any local contractors that are not part of the Energy North group, but they may want a contract to buy from you? And then
We will not be looking to do third party wholesaling through this facility.
Okay. Thank you.
And you're
That'll
not
answer
leaving-
probably a lot of questions.
And there's no trucks. This isn't you're not leaving trucks parked overnight here.
We would be looking to leave 2 to 3. The small heating oil truck, the home delivery trucks, the bobtails, would be staying overnight. And right now it looks like we would have about 2 on site, and those would be under lock and key.
Where would they go?
In Chris's design, you'll see the bobtail parking spaces next to on each side of the tank.
Oh, I thought they were like filling stations.
They are, but at night, that's where they would park.
So just 2 then.
Just 2 right now. If there's any additional, if we were to have any additional, we would put in the back of the lot. There would be a gated pen where they would park.
Is that shown on here anywhere?
That is not. We don't anticipate having to have that anytime soon. So you could 2 trucks for the time being.
Okay. And what about the cars when the guys come to pick the trucks up?
They would be parked towards the rear around the maintenance facility, the existing building that's there.
And I mean, I know this is a commercial zone and I got no problem with the use once the state fire marshal looks at it. I'm just, it's also an aquifer protection zone. And I think we're not, by not addressing that at all and just by adding more impervious without any look to see if you can shave any off anywhere, I think is not a great idea. You know, you've even got a driveway that goes to another lot that isn't even owned by the same owners, and you're not willing to do anything with that even.
Mr. Chairman, sorry, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I will say that we are improving the overall aquifer by providing, as I had shown in the in our grading and drainage plan, this stone line trench. This will provide additional infiltration and treatment of water to recharge the overall groundwater system in the area, where there is there's currently no stormwater improvements on site whatsoever. So this is a significant improvement to the on-site stormwater management.
While I agree it's an improvement, I don't think a whole lot of water from the existing facility runoff is going to get there because you got the leach field blocking part of it.
No, so the leach field
in the building.
Yeah, no, so the leach field, based on the seasonal high water table and the leach field system that we're showing, we actually don't anticipate any change in grade at the existing leach field, which we located generally in this area. And the site does slope from top of page to bottom of page. So anything that is draining across this gravel driveway and across the gravel where the propane tanks are will get into this infiltration trench. And it's about 230 feet of infiltration trench, which is 5 feet wide, crushed stone. So that'll pick up a pretty large amount of area.
What's your seasonal high water table?
I believe the seasonal high, I believe, is 48 inches.
Oh, wow.
We looked at doing an EnviroSeptic and a standard septic system. With the standard septic not using the Enviro, we would have had a mounted situation as you referred to originally. But with the EnviroSeptic, you can have less of a separation between seasonal high water table, therefore reducing the amount of fill that's needed on site.
Does that leach field design comply with the aquifer zone leach field regulation? There's a couple of different requirements in there.
Off the top of my head, I don't have that information as we are still finalizing the septic system. As I'd mentioned earlier, we're going to be submitting that to the state next week. But we'll double check the town regulations and make sure that it complies with that as well.
Because I think it adds another couple of feet of separation distance.
Yep, we can definitely look into that. Either way, you know, even if the septic system was higher, my point earlier that we're still capturing all this new gravel area getting into the infiltration trenches.
How many total employees are you going to have here?
I believe that there's P, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that there are 2 employees at the in the current facility.
Right now, there are, I believe, 3 delivery drivers that are working out of there on the home heating oil side. So if we were to add 2 additional trucks, that would be 2 additional employees. So a total of 4 to 5.
Yeah, I'm sure the 300 gallon a day minimum size covers you for how many employees you could have there.
I was just thinking about traffic, and I know we don't have any issue. You're probably talking 50 trips a week or less, but if we had a note in the plan saying no more than 6 employees, to give yourself a little bit of a break, that would indicate how much traffic you're going to have. I don't see any note unless I am a little blind, but is there a note on here about number of employees?
I do not believe we specified the number of employees on the plan. No.
Would that be acceptable? Something I just pulled a number out of the air for 6, but
Peter, are you comfortable with that?
No, I'm not. I don't think that we want to put a number of employees. I don't think we want to limit ourselves. I think 6 puts a handcuff on us if we wanted to say 8 or 10. And these are employees operating out of there on a full-time basis.
Well, these
Mr. Chair.
employees are not on site most of the time, right?
Correct. There's no one operating there out of there full-time on site 8 hours a day. They're coming, getting their vehicles, their delivery vehicles, and leaving, coming back in the evening.
I mean, pretty much whoever goes to work and parks their car there would be like considered a site employee. If they drive a truck in, fill it up and leave, that I wouldn't consider that a full-time employee for that site. But if they park the truck there at night and drive the car there in the morning to get the truck, then I think those would be the ones you'd count.
Yeah, I think we would feel comfortable. I mean, 6, because if the winter were to get busier, I think that 8, we'd feel comfortable with 8.
so if we're thinking 8, excuse me, 8 truck drivers, basically 2 trips a day. You're looking at 16 trips a day. If you're going to have 8, you're going to have the big truck come in more often, so that's another trip. That's 17 or 18 plus getting to work.
We already have existing use. This is not;
Right.
Those aren't additional employees.
I was talking 8 total. Is that what you're thinking?
Well,
I just want to put a number in the plan. I don't,
Yeah.
not even sure I care what it is. I just think there ought to be a
total,
number.
8 total between proposed new business with the propane and existing home heating oil business. Yes, 8 total.
Okay. Like I said, that kind of limits the number of trips to 20 or less a day at least. I know there's residential, I know it's an industrial zone, but there's residences at the end of the road, and the planning board's gotten grief from some of the residences in the past. Speaking of that, is anybody from public like to speak? Seeing none, we'll close that part of it and go back to the planning board. So you mentioned the locked gates around the propane tanks. Is the fire department going to have access to those gates if they need to for some reason?
Yes, we'll put a Knox box on site for them.
You can add a note to that to affect someplace too, I assume.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm thinking, wait to get something from the state fire marshal on whatever request requirements they may have.
Oh, I'm not thinking conditional at all. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm just things that the planning board can think about. We got hours of operation 6 to 6, not a big deal. He's got he's got snow storage, he's got the traffic, I think everything else is pretty well covered. Here's Bruce. I would like to see a little reclamation in the back end, but if you can't, I don't understand. You might have 8 employees parking back there. Anybody else have any questions, comments? I think somebody from your team is going to have to get a hold of the fire chief, Chief Vizina. He ends his letter saying, as always, should you have further questions, please contact me at 529-2352. So somebody's probably gonna have to bug him to get this thing moving a little faster. Otherwise it might sit there for a while, you know? Yes,
I've
ma'am.
been in contact with him
Okay,
regarding the state oversight and how he wants to move forward.
okay. Just making sure. You guys have any questions or comments?
If you've been on, Jody, did he give you any indication on how long that state oversight review may take?
It's usually not very long. Basically, what they'll do is they'll review our designs and they'll do a site walk and they'll come back and say, is this compliant with NFPA 58? I will check with him. I'll check with the state inspector that I worked with in one town over who did an oversight and see what their timing is.
Okay, I'm just thinking about a continuance. I mean, what would be a reasonable time for them to get a reply back from them?
I would say that a reply back, I would say it's a conditional, you know, it would be a condition of the approval that you get a favorable review back from them. And if not, I mean, that's what I would say.
Okay, thank you.
I'd kind of like to see what their review says, to be honest.
Me too. And
Mr. Chairman, if I may, we also do have a note on the plan indicating that the the above ground propane tanks are to be designed in accordance with NFPA 58, as Jody had mentioned, if that helps at all.
Yeah, but if they come up with something in their review that's wacky, then you never know.
Well,
And us not having dealt with them in any situation before, I mean, I don't know what to expect from them personally.
I deal with them all the time.
Right.
And I deal with them all the time, and actually, it's only when towns ask for their oversight. They're very familiar with Crown Energy's work. They've reviewed a number of facilities in your area.
And I do believe, Jody, that the only real sticking point that there could be would be separation between the tanks and the structure. There is a minimum 50-foot separation. We do have 60 feet. I think everything else would probably be on a technical matter. Is that correct?
If it's more than 50 feet, it meets NFPA 58.
Correct.
So everything is designed, and that's what the fire safety is for.
Would you expect to hear back from them in 2 weeks, or do you think longer? Or don't know?
I'll have to check with the fire chief.
Mr. Chair, would the board consider a conditional approval based on the fire chief's sign off of the state's inspection?
Well, we kind of already are, but like Bruce kind of mentioned, if the state comes back and says, you got to move this, you got to do something. And then it may seem minor, but at least we should know about it. If you get state sign off, I don't see a big deal at the next meeting, to be blunt. It's gonna be bang. Because we're talking about, well, the only thing I've written down is septic system approval, Knox box, and 8 employees. And fire wardens, of course, but you're looking at 2 notes in the plan on the septic design approval.
Chris, do you know the timing on that?
The timing on to make the change to the plan?
No, the septic DES review of the septic design.
I'm not sure their time frame. I know that the DES in general and most of the departments, they are pretty backed up. Off the top of my head, I don't know what their timeline is.
Okay. Again, would the board consider a conditional approval based on, assuming those other items are taken care of, based on the DES approval of the septic design, so that doesn't hold it up?
Oh, sure. Oh, certainly. But DES will approve your septic in a day. Residential permits are quick. I mean, I know that. I don't know, commercial might be a little bit longer, but I can't imagine it being any longer. If you submit it to DES electronically, you'll should get approval the same day you submit it. We do quite often. So really, like I said, the only thing is what's the fire ward's going to say? I'd really like to know what they're going to say before we make conditional approval.
Well, whatever they say will come back to the fire chief, and then he can make his recommendation.
If we're granted conditional approval, then if they say something, if something has to move, then you're starting again. Or if we just give you a continue it till the 10th, and you get something from them by the 10th, and there's nothing in it, then you're approved, and it's not gonna, there's no chance you have to come back.
That's what I'm kind of thinking, to be honest with you.
That's provided they can get back to us by the 10th.
Well,
If they don't, we continue.
If
If they don't, we continue from the 10th. We continue to the 24th.
That works for Energy North.
I mean, in two weeks, if you have something in 2 weeks, great. If you don't, we push out 2 more weeks. And does that sound like a plan? I heard somebody sigh. I know I work on that side of the room table too, so I understand. But
Yeah, I'll go with it. It sounds like a plan.
Craig, what did you say is outstanding?
Note about the Knox box on the late on the gates, septic approval, and a note saying 8 employees or to total of 8 employees. And the fire wards.
Well, would it be the fire wards or the fire marshal?
Well,
We're
we're
looking-
looking to hear from the fire wards. They're gonna hear from the fire marshal.
We're looking from the fire wards, but the fire wards want to hear from the fire marshal.
I think, well, the way it sounds like the fire marshal will trump the board of fire wards when it comes to that. The chief has kind of relinquished that toward.
Fire wards asking for assistance from the state fire marshal. So yeah, they're gonna trump you. They're gonna get both theirs. So we're looking to continue till June, what do we say, 11th? Is that what it is? 10th?
That's
I'll make
Did
a
you need a
motion.
note in there as well about the cost of the fire marshal if they come in?
Maybe should we do like a $1,500 escrow thing to start it, or how do we want to do that?
They do that with engineering escrow. Engineering escrow when you build a road or major subdivision, they start with 3,500, but this is a much smaller scale. So, I mean, I would think $1,500 and it would be returned. Or if it wasn't enough, we would reach out to Sandra and let her know that. That's how we do business with the others.
It may as well be consistent. I mean, 1,000, 1,500. It's a
Yeah,
state
just-
agency. Hopefully not gonna charge like a private engineering firm anyway.
They're probably not going to charge you much at all, but I don't know.
So do we need a motion for that before we do the other?
So
I think we just,
I'm sorry, so just so I understand, you're talking about a $1,500 escrow fee into this.
To cover any cost the fire marshal may cost the town? Yes.
Okay.
Does that require a motion, Craig, by itself, do you think?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
So we have a motion, a second, do we? To June, whatever it was, 10th?
yes.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstain. Okay, we'll see you June 10th.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The only thing else we have is minutes, right?
I think so.
May 27th. No, not May 27th, that's today.
April 22nd.
Yeah, there they are, April 22nd. I looked at them and wrote okay on them.
Make a motion, we accept them as written.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Okay. What else we got, guys?
You know, that
Oh,
that state housing zoning board, the state appeals board, heard their first case evidently, made their first decision last week or the week before. It was in Francistown, and evidently the Francistown Planning Board, when they denied an application, they didn't specifically point to the articles that were not adhered to by the applicant. So the state appeals board kind of said, you can't be vague in your reasons for denial. You have to state specifically why something's denied. And you can't subject the applicants to your personal feelings on things. It has to be all from zoning articles or subdivision regulations that are not being met. So they ultimately, I mean, the state appeals board approved the subdivision over the planning board based on that. Now, the planning board can always appeal it to Superior Court, but that's, that was their first decision that they heard and decided, so.
Who was that, Bruce?
Francistown, the state
I
appeals
know.
board.
Okay.
From the makeup of that board, I would expect that decision.
Well, that was pretty much my thought too, Chuck. But it was interesting. I've got a copy. If anybody I can send it to anybody who wants to read it. It was,
The last sentence is very interesting, yes.
yeah,
Bruce, I'd be interested in looking at it.
okay,
Just so I know what you're talking about.
yeah,
They slammed Francistown pretty hard.
I'd like to see a copy of it too, Bruce.
I'll send it to Naomi. She can send
Yeah,
it.
I can get it from her.
Yeah.
Just add more to her workload.
Jeez.
You can just forward it. If I send it to her, she can just forward it
Yeah,
to the
I
list.
know. I'm being facetious.
Oh,
How was your little webinar, Ray? Uh-oh.
Sorry.
How was that webinar you went to?
It was interesting. There, some of the stuff made sense. It made a whole lot more sense than the book that I got yesterday, or you can't see that, the New Hampshire Planning and Land Use Regulation.
Oh, that big white book?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, man. For this, I thought, okay, I'll look up subdivisions. Subdivision, I think, shows up 4,733 times.
Yep.
In 3,742 different topics. But what the amazing part was I looked up, I thought, okay, well, I'll look up propane tanks or whatever. I don't think the word propane shows up in the whole freaking manual.
No, probably doesn't.
But there's some stuff that they talked about. Every town has to have affordable housing, and X amount of it, and be able to approve it. And the fact that New Hampshire has an accessory dwelling unit rule where you absolutely have to approve it. So there was a lot of stuff there that was interesting, educational.
If nothing else, you can use it to cure insomnia.
There you go.
Big white book will do that.
Yeah, I was sitting there kind of like at 12 o'clock when they're going, I'm like, okay, weather's nice. It's my birthday and I should be fishing.
Craig, you are right. He was fishing.
Yeah. Anything else, guys?
So, Craig, do you have anything on the 10th other than what you put on tonight?
Yes. I'm going to be sending something out probably tomorrow about wetland setbacks and buffers.
Okay, just tell me what you want to put on the agenda. It would be behind these ones, I would think.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
It'll just be a discussion for next zoning season.
okay, all right.
Getting ahead of myself.
So, quick question, do you record those? Because I know I can't make the 10th.
Ray, they always, if you have access to the YouTube, they replay. Everyone's recorded and they're put up within a couple of days so you could see it.
Cool, thanks.
Yep.
Anything else? Bruce, it's your turn.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
No.